have something really exciting for you today. Pretty crazy. The Audeze MM500 is a high-end open-back planar magnetic headphone made specifically for music producers and audio engineers. It was designed with Manny Marroquin, a super famous mixing engineer. That's what the MM stands for. They are known for being incredibly detailed, very balanced, and giving a real studio monitor type of experience just on your head. Unlike some other Audeze models, the MM500 is lighter, more comfortable, and tuned for long studio session. So not as hyped in the bass, more neutral. So what are we talking about here? This sounds to me like a super mega high-end studio headphone, basically. We're talking about the Lambo of headphones, so to say. This is my first impression, not only if I hear those words, but also if I look at them. I have the great honor today to actually show them to you, and I have the great honor to listen to them. When you first touch them, you immediately get the sensation of extraordinary quality and purpose-built. It is like you totally understand that this is not a toy. It's not your fancy headphone to show off. It's an actual working headphone that is also extremely super high-end. It's really fantastic. With that said, I'm going to switch the cameras to a handheld mode so I can show you a little bit more of the details, because this is really something else and you need to be up close. Me standing in front of the camera and just like talking about it and so forth doesn't cut it. We need to have some really detailed like impressions of this thing. So let's go over, take the big camera and have a look at the magnificent manufacturing, because this thing really is built differently. I had the honor to hold many headphones in my hand. Myself owned like the K712 Pro, for example, so like in the €300 range. Here we are talking about something that is worth almost €2,000 or in that range. It's a different price category, totally, you can say. Completely different story. You can get great studio headphones for €150 with the DT990 from Biodynamic for sure, but today we're driving a Lamborghini basically. Alright, and I told you I want to show you up close how they look like. I will try my best. With this glass we actually can see it quite good. The material is just superb. I believe that is even actual real leather, if I'm not mistaken. It feels very premium, this much I can say. And right now I have my hands full with the camera around, so of course what we have here is an open back headphone of the extra class. Headphones can go incredibly expensive, of course there are even more expensive pieces of gear, like €6,000, etc. And of course, what is incredibly important with a headphone like this is how you drive them. I will find that out and put that into the video. But just so that you can get an idea of the details, let's go over to the light a little bit. Maybe we can do even more content about this, so like I just want to capture it in this moment, because you don't come across this every day, this is for sure. This is something special. People might ask, why would anyone spend €2,000 for a headphone, for example? I think that is a justified question. Of course, as a music producer, I understand that this is an investment. This will trigger you to do great work potentially, and it's an extraordinary piece. It is also kind of a self-programmation almost, like a commitment. When you are like spending so much money for such a high-grade tool, then you also want to use it. So it's a commitment to sound, you can say. Alright, I'm back, and now is the most important part of the whole experience, me listening to those €2,000 headphones, and I can't fucking wait. I just put them on my head, and the feeling, quite frankly, I can say that I never experienced something like that in all the time of me being alive, from the haptical feedback and just like how the whole mechanical thing is working. Like as I said, I have €300 headphones. Like those are, for example, normal working class headphones. I think around like maybe €200 or something like that. This has such a mechanical feeling. So the sound that it makes, because it's all so sturdily built and so forth, it's undescribable, but we already showed you a little bit of the detail. I can just tell you that it is superbly built, and that you will never forget the moment when you put the MM500 on your head, basically. Like, that is etched into my memory forever now. That feeling of this. This feels very substantial. Like, super good. Okay, let's go into the hearing test. I want to listen to a little bit of music. First, I'm going to listen to a drum and bass project of myself that is called Ice Pick. No, Frostbite. Frostbite, exactly. I think it's in 25. Give me just a second. I will edit the video, probably, hopefully for you, viewer. I will hopefully edit the video. Music 25. Subdroidics. Frostbite master. Okay, track number 1 is basically a track from myself that I know very well and that I have listened to on those DT990 super bassline working headphones before. So now what I'm going to do is listen to Frostbite on the Audeze. Alright, now's the listening test. I'm going to not show you the entire listening test. I've listened to 3 tracks in total. They are all from me, so there's no consideration regarding copyright. I own all the copyright. I will give you a best of my experience there and then give you my thoughts. If you want to see a full video, head over to I posted the full listening test over there uncut. Okay, that was incredible. It was really incredible. There was just one track that I listened to that I created a while ago. I will give a full impression into the main camera in just a second. But oh my fucking god. Like, it's like touching excellence. Okay, that was definitely one of the best moments of my life, I would say. It's like looking at the Mona Lisa, or it's like going into an 8-star hotel and touching, you know, the furniture and bedding in an 8-star hotel, and then having the feeling of like, okay, now you have touched excellence. This is what I feel, truthfully. Like, this is my, like, Audeze didn't pay me. This guy didn't pay me that lets me listen to my music with those headphones. Nobody paid me to say this. But I, as a person who all my life worked with this shit, can tell you confidently that this is one of the best headphones that I had the pleasure to ever listen to. Like, in my subjective experience from the first go. Whatever that means, right? Like, that's just like a very super subjective experience. The whole thing is just like presented to you also in this extraordinary way. It's not only the headphone. It's never only one thing. It's always the layers and the details. And for example, it comes in this box. And as I described or tried to describe before, also the motion, the haptic feedback that this metal structure gives you if you basically adjust it to your head is second to none. That feels like military weapon grade, kind of really absurd, in my opinion. Like a very sensational experience. Of course, how people value those experiences is very different. For me, I value them very much. So, like, you know, how a thing feels and behaves and so forth, and how it gives me feedback and communicates with me means a lot to me. So apart from the sound, that is exceptional. The whole experience that you have with the headphone, from the cable to the build to the materials that have been used. It just feels utterly purposefully high-end, I would say. And it was a beautiful experience. I can't wait to listen to the next track. The next track that I'm going to listen to is a classic of mine. It's very, very thick. The sound is super dense, but very, very hyper realistic, you can say. Even if I am listening to my voice, the first thing that I did when I started the microphone was listening through direct record through a Rode Micro audio interface, and it sounds super natural. Does it do what it's supposed to do? Be an absurdly good studio headphone? Yes, I can totally say that this is something that I have never experienced. So like, it's really, you believe it or not, in this case you are paying for something special. This is why it costs 2,000 euro. It's because, yeah, there is no comparison with other headphones. There's, in my opinion, nothing like that I have experienced. Of course, my experience is also limited, but I'm working as a music producer professionally since over a decade, and I had a couple of pair of headphones on my head. Usually DT990s do the job, but we are talking totally two different games here, two totally different experiences. It was really awesome. Man, I'm really thankful for this experience. It's very, very thick. The sound is super dense, but very, very hyper realistic, you can say. Even if I am listening to my voice, the first thing that I did when I started the microphone was listening through direct record through a Rode Micro audio interface, and it sounds super natural. Does it do what it's supposed to do? Be an absurdly good studio headphone? Yes, I can totally say that this is something that I have never experienced. So like it's really, you believe it or not, in this case you are paying for something special. This is why it costs 2,000 euro. It's because, yeah, there is no comparison with other headphones. There's, in my opinion, nothing like that I have experienced. Of course, my experience is also limited, but I'm working as a music producer professionally since over a decade, and I had a couple of pair of headphones on my head. Usually DT990s do the job. We are talking totally two different games here, two totally different experiences. It was really awesome. Man, I'm really thankful for this experience. I can say that this was one of the great moments of my life, and I'm not even kidding you or exaggerating. The great thing is, I don't have to. Audeze didn't contact me, nothing of that business shebang was happening here. Just two extremely nerdy guys that make music and are producers and DJs, and just celebration of sound. This was a really, really worthwhile experience. There's nothing that compares to it. I had so many linear headphones on my head before, and I have touched so many high-end devices in my lifetime. The Audeze was something truly special. In this listening test, I listened to my own music, and that, of course, helped me to identify those headphones and place them or situate them way easier. It's way easier if you have constructed those tracks. And I didn't just put in some random garbage, but actually like mastered and finished pieces. One of them was a one-nighter, but nevertheless, all of it was extremely high quality. I never listened to the material in that kind of way. It's extremely thick, you hear all the transients, you want to make it louder, you also want to drive this thing with a nice audio interface, this is for sure. But it's, nothing compares to it. I'm seriously considering right now. Of course, I understand this is something that costs a lot of money, but wow, it was insane. It is really insane. This thing is something completely else. This is all I can say. I will probably do a little bit more content about this in the future. If you enjoyed it, then you know what to do. Leave a comment, share the video, leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And we see us in the next one. That was amazing. Cheers.